The next champion on the I Built Them So You Don't Have To series is a champion that I've had built for many months and have just passed over time and time again in favor of other epics. Was it a mistake? Should I have been paying attention to this champion sooner? Let's find out. Lady Quilen is the next champion in the I Built Them series. This is a champion, like I said in the intro, I have ignored for months, but it is time to take a look at her. Was I mistaken? Should I have built her sooner? That is the question we are going to answer today. So let's move right on to Lady Quilen. First to fight. Attacks all enemies. Places a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns if the attack is critical. Glory Hound. Attacks 1 enemy. Places an extra hit if this attack is critical. Fills the turn meters of all allies by 30% if this attack kills an enemy. Mistress of Mallets. Attacks 1 enemy. Fills this champion's turn meter by 15% if this attack is critical. Alright, Lady Quilen, this is how we have her built out. She is a pure damage dealer attempt here. Now, she also has buffs, so you want her to go before your other nukers. She's kind of a support nuke. I call that, she's not a support nuke, but she is a nuker that should also be able to support other nukers with her kit. Just as, you know, as you already saw it, but the increased attack, increased crit damage, a huge importance. And then she's got this A2 hitting ridiculously strong, and you follow it up with her A1. Filling the champion's turn meter. Everything about this is kind of a neat kit, but the artifacts I put her in, you can see we have her in Savage at 31.7, 59.71 attack, 230 speed, 256 crit damage. She does not need accuracy, which is nice. You can build her out in several different ways with that. I didn't steal best gear for her. We just took the gear that we had available. And her masteries here. I wanted to try something a little different because I want to try her in arena and see if it's something that's just ridiculously silly or something we can actually do. But I went for, and we'll move myself over to this side for that. We went with War Master proc here. You could, like I said, you could argue Helm Smasher if you're going to use her in arena. But I did want to go with a shield breaker just to help thin out those shields when she uses her AoE, and then have a nuker go in behind. And then you have Ruthless Ambush for the extra damage. This is all pretty typical stuff. And then the ability to Retribution. She is kind of squishy, so you're going to expect that kind of kickback. Overall, yeah, like when you look at her skill set, it makes sense. You're going to start with this. You know, you've got your debuffer, then you have her hitting, but she's also increasing crit damage and increased attack, which is going to allow your next nuker to hit harder. And then, of course, attacks one enemy, places an extra head if this is critical, and gives turn meters of all allies if it kills someone. So that's a big deal. It's got some good turn meter manipulation. And then here, so long as it's critical, you get that turn meter manipulation. So we're going to take her into some damage testing. We're going to take her into arena. We're going to take her into a dungeon. And we're going to see if she can indeed help a team win. All right, I want to do this quick little test for you because, look, this is going to seem simplistic. It's going to seem, you know, like, why are you even showing me this? This isn't day one of the game. But I think a lot of the times people can understand what something does, but really to conceptualize it and really fully get the true impact of something, you have to see it. And this is the best way I can show it. If there's nothing else you take from Lady Quilen, it's this right here. This is what she's good for. However you figure it out, I've given a couple of examples later on, but if there's nothing else, this is what she's for. Use her like this. This is how you're going to get any use out of her. Okay? Now I'm going to, the first run here, we're just going to hit with her so she doesn't have those buffs up. So now we're going to hit with him, and we're going to end the battle. Okay? He just can't stop himself. So, It's about 90 without the counterattack. Do you realize that that counterattack is 100% chance when trying to record a video? I don't know if you knew that. Now you do. All right, so now let's play the same scenario, but she's going to buff. Okay? $195. So keep in mind that without his counterattack, he was about 90. Now he's 195. There's no buffs. That's no decreased defense. That's nothing. That's just simply Ethos's damage with Lady Quielen's buffs. I know that seems simple. It seems so stupid. But a lot of times we don't think about that. He doubled his damage simply by getting her buffs. Like I said, I'm going to talk a lot about her. I'm going to talk in the end game. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on her. But just take all that out for 5 seconds and just know this is what she can do for your champion. The impact is even greater when you have debuffs and all the rest. But that is what she does. She doubles your nuker's damage. Period. Now let's go on to some damage testing and see if she can do any damage herself. Alright, we're in Doom Tower. I'm going to show you where I kind of see her most being able to be used. It doesn't have to be Doom Tower. Any PvE where you're hitting waves and you don't have or don't want to use a champion with attack up. Now, Arbiter has attack up, which is a bit of a thing. Like, you don't need attack up because you get Arbiter as soon as you get Arbiter as a team, but maybe you don't have Arbiter yet. Or maybe a case like this, you have a better built Syl than an Arbiter. She's tankier. She's going to bring more to the table in these kind of wave fights. So, but you don't want to lose that attack up for your nuking champion. Well, this is where she's got that opportunity. And so let's just show a wave run. I suspect it should go quite fine. You know, we're getting all the buffs we need, but now we have the rest of them. And you can see that one-shot ability is very good. See here, he doesn't have that buff up. And of course, we don't have that one-shot ability. But then she comes in with some supplementary damage. I'd also like to commend Syl for landing one stun. Thanks, Syl. Yeah, that's going to be fine. We're going to be good. You know what's going to happen now is she's going to use her... Yeah, they're going to use all their abilities. I love that. My favorite part of this game. All right, here we go. Final round. He's gonna hit hard. Now he's actually past her in speed because he's he killed everyone, so he's getting the extra speed. But oh, she's taking it on the chin. She's gonna get killed here. She'll get revived though, not a problem. Right, and if you kind of time it out properly and lockout skills, that sort of thing, you can probably make sure that she's landing that at least 2 of the 3 rounds. But there you go. That's where I see her being used. Is she the most efficient use of a slot here? Maybe, maybe not. But I think if you need that extra damage, you have a good nuker, but he's just not clearing waves. That's where she's absolutely slots in. Why don't we do one final thing? I want to take her into arena, so why don't we hit there next? All right, so now we are in the arena. And this is kind of, again, where I see her being used. We'll do a couple fights here. It is Monday, so who knows what this is going to look like. But we're going to hold this one. That looks good. So again, we're going to do some damage. We're going to do a lot of damage, apparently. But we're also going to activate his damage. So even though we have no cleanses, we can do a nice big hit. And then we'll... I think he's actually missing. Okay. And then we get to hit her, and there we go. So, that was weird. Genbo didn't get revived by Godseeker Neri. Let me know in the comments down below why that would be. I didn't have a block revive. Does she have a mythical block revive I don't know about? Like... Did he steal the buff from her? Did he steal the revive on death? Can that be possible? Can we find another champion with... Alright, here's a team a little bit stronger. We've got a Siphi problem. So we're bringing in Ultimate Death Knight. And hopefully they all survive. We brought in Ultimate Death Knight so that the Siphi can't sleep us. So we got there... She gets to put her buffs up. So we've got an increased defense. We've got a bolster set. She's got that the shield thing, so she's gonna remove some shields, and then let's see what our boy can do. Some pretty good damage there. Make sure that we got some. Oh, still got her. Still got her. But I don't think it matters that much, does it? There we go. So, again, one of the things, especially with Polymorph, is to improve your damage rather than reduce their defense. And although there was no Polymorph in this particular case, it's a pretty good example of what that means. Is you can use Lady Quilen to buff your other team. Now, I have her for damage. She's obviously not a huge damage dealer. I still recommend to put her in a damage set for that, especially for PvE. But if you're trying to use her in PvP, maybe 3v3, or maybe you're just trying to get through some of these crazy teams, as long as she's faster than your nuker, you can make her as survivable as possible and not worry about that damage too much. It's a nice set of buffs that's going to help you kill in this arena. But the one, of course, problem is that there's too many other champions that can kind of do what she does and has a better overall kit. So why don't we go to final thoughts here, and we'll talk about Lady Quilen. My final thoughts on Lady Quilen. At first, I really liked her. I really thought she was a viable champion, but the more I used her, the more I felt like she's just taking a spot away from someone else. Granted, she's good. She has a good kit that is usable for many accounts. If you do not have a debuffer, or you don't have a way to deal with debuffs, immunity, polymorph in arena, you can bring this champion in with your nuker. By that time, everyone has at least a Genbo, or if you've gotten an Ethos or a Candrafon or whatever, unless it's a defense-based or an HP-based nuker. Lady Quilen's really going to help you. She has the increased attack and the increased crit damage, which improves your variety of champions you can use. The downfall of Lady Quilen is that increased attack is not really it's not really unique. There's no less than 30 some I think 33 champions that have an increased attack AoE, which does mean, and one of them's free, one of them's Arbiter, you're going to get eventually if you just do the missions. So the reality is Lady Quilen is kind of a little bit muted in her viability, because after you go here, well, sure, so you get the increased crit damage, and there's only 11 AoE big increased crit damage champions in the game. And she's one of them. So you could argue that Archmage Helmet, I mean, you are going to get him pretty soon. So I guess that he's probably better. Like, you can just keep playing this game of who's better. And that's the problem, is once you negate this A3, then you're looking at someone who places 2 hits, fills the terminators. The 2 hits are not end game level damage. They're good, but they're not great damage. And fills turn meter if she kills an enemy, which is good if you know you're going to kill an enemy. But if you're not going to kill an enemy, then it's just a garbage ability, because it doesn't do enough damage to guarantee a kill. And then this is just filling her turn meter, which is fine, but it's not really mind-blowing, if that makes sense. So how do we fix this? Well, I think I gotta argue, to make her a little bit more usable, a little bit more overall strong, I would change this to a 3-turn cooldown from a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked, and I would add increased defense. The increased defense would mean that there's a greater variety of champions that she's going to help. There are more and more defense-based nukers in this game that she would be able to help, which would open her up for more different comps. And on top of that, would add a level of survivability for your team, which would make her usable even if you're not building her for damage. Ultimately, I think she's a support champion. You add that increased defense, you add the 3-turn instead of the 4-turn, and she's a very strong champion in many areas of the game, including, my friends, for a seer comp, because she would have 3 buffs. But with the 2 buffs and the increased attack being essentially a duplicate of like an Arbiter, it does make it a lot harder to reliably use her and just say, I'm going to use her over another champion. That said, she can be used in 3v3. She can be used in a wide area of people that don't have that increase. So it's very situational. Do I recommend build her? Very situational. It depends wholly on, do you have increased attack? Do you have a nuker that's not completely killing waves? Like, say you've got a high-end nuker like an Ethos for PvE, but he's leaving them with like a quarter health or something. Well, then bring her in, and she's going to boost his damage enough to get through those waves. Great. But if you have an increased attack, you have your Arbiter, and you use your Arbiter in PvE, or you just don't need that increase. You've got, say you have a Cardial, say you have an Archmage helmet that you're using, Farrakhan the Fat, and that crit damage is not as big of a deal, then perhaps she's a pass. So I call this one a very situational. I think if you need her, she's really good, but the second you don't need her, you feel bad because she doesn't bring a whole lot else to the kit. So those are my final thoughts. Does she have champion lore? Nope, she is unlord. Let's take a look at these. I think these are way too high. Arena offense, I will give her a 4 because her activation of other people's abilities is amazing. Campaign locations, she's a force affinity, so immediately a 3. Arena defense, she's a 1. She's a very squishy nuker, and that does not bring so much to the table on the defense. Demon Lord, I don't even understand. I'm going to give her a 2. She does bring buffs that are going to help you do more damage, but she herself isn't going to do a ton of damage. She doesn't have any special skill that's going to help against the Demon Lord. Spider's Den, I don't even understand this. Maybe good in up to like 15. Faction Wars, I'll give her a 4 there because there's some really good nukers. Like she can boost the damage of an Artemid, she can boost the damage of a Baron, those sort of things. Minotaur's Labyrinth, why would... Dragon's Lair, yeah, we'll give her a 4 for the same reasons we showed her. Spirit Keep, she's Force Affinity. I don't even understand who does these. Fire Knight's Castle, she's got a single hit, a 2-hitter, and an AoE. She's going to be good in waves, but I don't know. Magic Keep, well, she is Force Affinity, so we'll give her a 4. Void Keep, I mean, she's good, not great. Ice Golem, Force Keep, Hydra. I mean, conceivably, you're putting her on a Trunda team for the big damage. I'll give her a 3. Iron Twins, she's way too squishy. Sand Devils, I don't think so either. There we go. I don't understand these numbers, but don't be confused. These are not right. But again, if you're early mid game, or mid to even into the late game, she's going to be good for you. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Am I being too tough on her? Maybe I am. How would you build her? Would you give her more damage? Would you increase her multipliers? Would you make her a support? Would you, like I said, reduce the cooldown, add defense to that A3? Let me know in the comments down below what you think it would take for her to be an actual viable champion in the game. But as always, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you. Please be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next one.